Asturias is a small principality situated on the northwest coast of Spain. Bordered by the sea to the north and surrounded by mountain ranges to the south, accessibility to this region over the centuries has been a hazardous one. Isolation and remoteness have helped conserve the ancient culture and traditions of this small but very old former kingdom. It is a region that large-scale tourism has overlooked. The first group of inhabitants to this region were the Iberians, who gave the land their name. There are many theories about these people, but one of the most widely accepted is that they were invaders from North Africa. It is a region rich in history and culture. Many of the region's popular customs are among the most interesting of Spain. The landscape is green and diverse, from rugged mountains and narrow valleys to pristine beaches. The people are proud, and history has shown that they will fight for their Spanish independence and their region's autonomy. During Spain's 781 years of Islamic occupation, this small Christian region managed to keep the Moors out. "192 beaches make up the Asturian coastline. It is a mixture of small coves, wild cliffs and small villages overlooking their harbours.
Un crocodilo!
The crashing waves of the Cantabrian Sea make it particularly good for surfing. Existing also are small secluded coves protected by spectacular rock formations, making it a safe haven for families. The mild temperate climate enables you to visit the coast any month of the year.
Súbete a mí, para no ensuciar los pies. Claro que nos vamos. Claro.
The villagers have fished this coastline for centuries, and many livelihoods still depend on fishing. At the end of the day, what better way to relax? A promenade along the harbour, overlooking the brightly coloured fishing fleet. Or just sitting in one of the many cafes and discussing the day's affairs with friends. Exploring the villages and townships of Asturias, you discover a tangle of whitewashed houses, or stone dwellings reminiscent of the people's Celtic heritage. Historic landmarks such as the Church of Santa Maria del Naranco is one of the most confusing and little known chapters of Spanish art. Built in the 9th century, this building is classed as pre-Romanesque. Recognised for its technical breakthrough in the vaulting of the naves, it is also known for its simple, elegant lines, decorative lattice work, and use of artistic resources. This type of architecture would not be found or triumph throughout the rest of Europe until 2 centuries later. Our arrival in the township of Tapia has coincided with the celebration of a traditional market. Asturians enjoy countless celebrations, and over the summer months, craft displays and festivities are in abundance. The bagpipes, one of the oldest musical instruments. Originally thought to be played by Egyptians, was passed on to the Greeks, then to the Romans, and spread to Spain and the rest of Europe in the Middle Ages. It's a festival of the ever-present past. These artisans keep their ancestral techniques alive. Wood carving is a common activity in Asturias. Los Madrenos, the name given to wooden clogs. They are the traditional footwear of the region, distinguished for their decorations and comfort. Traditional wooden furnitures are created with a style all of their own.
Camino de Santiago, bastón de peregrino y flauta, las dos cosas.
The musical instruments are noteworthy, not only for their beauty, but the mellow sound that comes from them. The passage of time and invasions from the sea have left behind remains of culture that will never return, but their handicrafts and music have remained.
Ya está, mira, ahora se sube, ¿eh?
The Asturians' traditional costumes reflect the people's colourful spirits. The marketplace is also enhanced by their festive nature. The local tavern becomes the meeting place, and the storyteller brings news of foreigners and faraway places.
Pero qué sinvergüenza, que vengo a quitar yo a nadie nada. Si yo aquí lo que vengo es hacer un ejemplo moral de cantar canciones bonitas de la tierra, jotas, fandangos, muñeiros.
And adding sparkles to an already lively occasion, a glass of one of the best and oldest ciders in the world. It is made from a blend of sweet and bitter fermented apple juice. Arms apart, the larger the pouring distance, the bubblier the cider becomes. It takes precision aiming and is usually a task for specialists. Now for a gulp of cider. It must be drunk in one swig, leaving just enough cider to rinse the glass and pour the remains to the ground, ready for the next consumer. Throughout the countryside, each house has alongside it all the outbuildings necessary in a farming community. The herrero is used to store the family's grain. It is an elevated construction resting on 4 to 6 pilings. Built without nails, it is a form of ingenious architecture. The placement of these stone plates keep the grain safe and the rodents out. Corn was introduced in the 17th century and became the most important grain produced in Asturias. The open-air balconies of the herreros serve as an ideal place for drying. Today, cattle farming is the most important source of income in rural areas. Travelling further inland, the trip becomes very bumpy, but half the fun of going somewhere is the journey. Magical mountain passes, wild rocky slopes, and green untouched valleys suggest we be at the end of the world. Along the way, dozens of flowers add splashes of colour to the lush landscape. Arriving at the Somedo Lakes, these mysterious beauties are the remains of the glazier's time. It's also time to leave the car and start a hike further into the mountains in search of the thatched dwellings of the Vaquero de Zelzada. The Vaqueros is the name given to the wandering herdsmen of Asturias. In constant search of better pastures for their herds, the Vaqueros led a nomadic lifestyle for centuries. Their seasonal hamlets of thatched roofs and intricate stone dwellings can be found scattered throughout the mountains of Asturias. It has been a rough and tough existence. High altitudes, no luxuries, and the largest part of these dwellings was reserved for the stable. The Vaqueros were a persecuted community. Hostility went as far as to deny them drinks in pubs. And in church, they were confined to the rear end of the nave. Former prejudice against the Vaqueros is less prevalent, but distrust has not totally disappeared. Today, the Vaqueros have moved down the mountain into the villages and towns, and the only inhabitants of these hamlets are their work animals. Abundant water and a backdrop of a waterfall feed the delicate ecosystem of steep valleys and green pastures. A high altitude needs moments to recuperate. It is also a chance to take in the grandeur and mountainous beauty of the area. Further down the mountain, the farming community is hard at work. No monopolies here, it's a family business. Small plots of land, carved into mountain steeps, give access to miniature tractors. Sometimes, the steep of the land denies tractor access, so they're loaded up and the baling process is completed on the road. It's backbreaking work, and in the end, most of it's done by hand. As the sea of mist rolls in, the contours of the landscape become less distinguishable, a signal that it's time to descend the mountain. After an exhausting hike, it's time for the film crew to replenish their bodies. And what better way than to dine in one of the many lively Asturian restaurants? Fine quality ingredients and simple preparation make up the Asturian cuisine.
What's that? What, its feet or something? How do you eat it? Oh, la, 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 la. Well, here goes. And what's the pork, right? Great. And the cameraman's not getting any.
The eating habits of the Asturians is to keep the tabletop clean. Used serviettes, cigarette butts, and the spilling of cider ends up on the floor. At the end of the night, the floor is swept clean. New sawdust is scattered, ready to soak up the next day's splatterings of cider. Travelling to another part of Asturias, you can find traces of the iron industry. Plenty of ore and flourishing water throughout the area attracted the establishment of mazos. These are family-sized steel plants. Hydraulically run, water is the mill's source of power. The few mazos that remain are reserved as relics, a reminder of a past not so long ago. Mazos means hammer, and maintaining the hammer means also continuing old art forms.
En principio dicen que son del siglo XVII. En principio. Pero después lo que se sabe es que, bueno, que estuvieron funcionando hasta hace unos 30 años más o menos.
Funcionando y funcionando. Sí. Aquí había mucha gente en la aldea.
Sí,
¿no?
había otros 5 igual que este, en este ayuntamiento.
¿En ese ayuntamiento? Sí.
Pulling on this lever activates the whole process. The stoking of the fire and the movement of the hammer is caused through a system of levers, pulleys, pipes and water. It is an ingenious, simple and non-polluting system. This mill no longer competes for large-scale trade or commerce, but it still provides a source of revenue for some. The ironworks produces fitting tools, cutlery, kitchen utensils and pocket knives. Iron crafts constitute one of the decorative arts associated with Asturias. They are merited for their long traditions and quality. And they are still considered as essential utensils in the Asturian home.
¿Pa qué será? Será del amor. Esto es para la reuma, muy bien. No, pa' que...
Asturias is blessed with a unique charm of its own. Untainted by commercialism and off the beaten track, it is a place alive with nature and beauty. Social gatherings are common and bring out the festive spirit of the people. It is an ancient civilised land, rich in history and unique in architectural design. Their products respect age-old traditions, which are constructed with care and craftsmanship. Asturias is one of the most undiscovered regions in Spain, a land full of contrast that will delight the most demanding of travellers.